Now, when it comes to stock indices, we're essentially looking at baskets of stocks, and these stocks could be stocks within a particular industry, or they could be maybe particular stocks of particular market caps. Hello everyone, you're most welcome to FX Pesa's YouTube channel, and today we are going to be looking at how to trade US indices. So when we are trading US indices, we need to first understand that we need to first understand what indices are. So an index is essentially a basket of items, and it could have a basket of anything. So it could be maybe a basket of beans, oranges, and maybe a corn, or it could be maybe a basket of colors of different kinds. Now, when it comes to stock indices, we're essentially looking at baskets of stocks, and these stocks could be stocks within a particular industry, or they could be maybe particular stocks of particular market caps or different things like that. Now, when we're trading US indices, the first thing is to understand where we can get information about weightings of stocks. And the best way to do that is to come online. For instance, like when you come to the NASDAQ, it reads here that the NASDAQ 100 holdings are listed by company weight from largest to smallest. The fund is heavily concentrated with technology companies, but also includes companies from other sectors. Now, when you come under the NASDAQ, you have a list of over 101 companies, but these companies are arranged in order of weighting. So you find that the NASDAQ index, which you can trade on FX Pesa, its code is UT100 roll. You find that these stocks actually influence the movement of the NASDAQ. Now, in the NASDAQ weightings, you have Microsoft coming in first with a weighting. This weighting is a weighting of 8.7%, followed by Apple, which has a weighting of 8.02%, and then you have Nvidia Corporation, which follows with 7.83%. So what that means is that whenever any of these stocks are having bad days, or whenever those stocks are in the red, you essentially should be keeping an eye on how the index will do. There are going to be certain days when, for instance, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, and maybe Amazon are having great days, and this will drag the overall index. Like, for instance, if you look at how Nvidia has been performing lately, you'll see that Nvidia has actually been having bullish days over the past month. Now, that has also been able to propel the NASDAQ higher, and that has been regardless of how the other stocks have been doing. So typically, the top 5 stocks tend to affect how the index will do. Now, when you cross over to the Dow Jones is also another index, and it has the top 30 companies with the largest cap in the US. So all the big companies that you know of, all of those are covered within the Dow Jones. Now, the Dow Jones has a weighting with United Health Group as the first company that contributes about 8.2% to the entire index. Now, the other one is Goldman Sachs, which contributes about 7.7%, followed by Microsoft and then Caterpillar. Now, these particular companies, there are some similarities between the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, and that is that the Dow Jones has Microsoft both within the Dow Jones index as well as also the NASDAQ index. Now, Dow Jones is also available on FX Pesa, and you can trade it. Its code is US30 roll. Now, when you're looking at the different components, you're also going to be able to find that not all the time the components at the top are the ones that affect the index. Like, for example, Salesforce is one of the companies under the Dow Jones index, and it ranks as the 10th company with a weighting of 3.75%. So fine, the weight may look a bit small compared to the overall index, but you'll be surprised to know that Salesforce recently was down about 20%, and the Dow Jones actually was able to get dragged all the way down. Now, the other one is Boeing. We know that Boeing has been facing a few challenges, and that has also affected its stock. So on days where Boeing has been down, it has also been able to drag the entire index. So it's very, very important that whenever you're trading indices, you focus on those weightings. Now, how do you now use the weightings to trade? So when you go to investing.com, you're going to go to investing.com, and when you get there, you're going to look for, you're going to go to markets, and under markets, you're going to find stocks. So under stocks, you're going to click United States. So when you click there, it's going to bring you a list of the stocks, and it's going to arrange it in this form. You'll have the name of the stock, you'll have the traded prices, the last high, the last price, that was the close, the highest price for that particular trading day, the lowest price for the particular trading day, then the percentage change, and then it will also have volume, and then you'll also be able to change how you want to view it. So for instance, like for me, I want to view my stocks when they are compacted. That way I can be able to see the percentages easily. When the US market opens, the first thing that I do is to see typically how are the stocks doing, okay? So when the US market opens, right now the US market is closed. That is why you're seeing that there is a red sign on each stock. When the US market opens, this changes to green, and you're able to see the stocks and their volume for the day. Now, yesterday, the Dow Jones closed in the red. It was down roughly by about 1%, and that was because some of the big stocks that contribute the highest to the weighting were down. Microsoft was down 3%, so definitely it was going to be hard for Dow Jones to have a green day when Microsoft was down. Now, the other big companies that were also down were other companies like Goldman Sachs, which, if you recall from our list of weighted companies, is ranked the second in the weighting. So definitely Goldman Sachs and Microsoft already is a combination of a red day for it. So it would be very difficult for it to recover from that. Now, if you go further down the list, you have Salesforce. Salesforce has a ranking in terms of weighting. It has it's the 10th in the ranking with a weighting of 3.75%. Now, Salesforce was down about 19%. So already you have some of the big companies weighting. So now when you come and look at this and then you go to the chart for Dow Jones. So for instance, when you come to the Dow Jones here, you can look at yesterday's trading day, and you can see that the highest point we had for this particular trading day was around this level here. This was a level we had of about 38,220. Now, when the market reached this high, that was at about 8 p.m. East Africa time, and the market opened at about 4:30 p.m. So this was the highest point, and you can see that there were signs of the market failing to buy beyond that level, which meant that it was going to sell. Now, when you are trading the indices, you're going to first come and look at the price action. If the price action is steadily rising and it's showing signs that maybe the market could buy, but then you're looking at the stocks and some of the big stocks are in the red, that's already a sign that maybe any buying momentum may not stay for too long. Now, you'll notice that after the market bought and reached this level here, we had some hesitance with it, and we saw that it was actually selling. So you can see that by the time the market closed at around 11 p.m., it actually closed in the red. Now, of course, this went hand in hand because the stocks were down, the big weightings, and actually the index also didn't do that well, and it also came back down. Now, this is for the Dow Jones. Now, when you go to the NASDAQ, when you come to yourinvesting.com, you're simply going to come and click here, and you change your index to NASDAQ 100. So when you come to the NASDAQ 100, you're simply going to come and look at how the stocks did. So Nvidia, from our list, Nvidia is ranked the third, and Nvidia had a bad day yesterday because it was actually down. If you come to Nvidia here, Nvidia was down about 4% on the day. Already that was dragging the index. Now, if you go further down the list, Microsoft also had a red day, Amazon also had a red day, then Google also had a red day, and that allowed the NASDAQ to end the day significantly lower. And that's why when you come and check on your chart, you will see that when the market opened at about, 4:30 yesterday, and as soon as it opened, we saw it immediately began selling. Okay, so it made a slight recovery, but again, glancing at the stocks, we're already seeing that the big stocks are in the red, or the stocks with a big weighting are in the red. So back to our chart, we're already seeing that there is some bearish momentum here. So ideally here, you would be looking for a sell based off only on that, but also the fact that this previous high, we did not break above it. That was a sign that we should have looked for a sell and maybe set the stop loss slightly above the previous high, so that in case the market comes and tries to break it and continues higher, then you're protected from any downside risk there. Now, that's a simple way of using the weighted stocks to trade. But now, the other thing that's important is you cannot glance at the stocks all the time, simply because you have to remain on your charts, because on one hand, looking at how the stocks are doing is good for you to find some kind of a condition in the market, whether the market is buying that day or whether the market is selling that day. But soon as after you've determined that, you need to cross over to your charts and then you focus on the technical analysis. Is the market essentially buying or is it selling? Soon as you see signs of buying, then you should be looking for selling. And once you see signs of, if there are signs of buying, then you should be looking to buy. And if there are signs of selling, then you should be looking to sell. So that's how you can use the stocks to trade the indices. And I hope you have benefited from that and you're going to be able to implement that within your trading. In case you want to learn more about trading, watch this next video.